Hello, everyone. It's Jerome Parker. Welcome to episode 2 of Jerome Parker Live. Today, we are actually going to start coding. I'm going to walk you through setting up the environment. I'm going to walk you through some basic Linux commands that you're going to need. And I'm going to walk you through the basics of PHP. And we're going to write a couple programs. So, Well, basically, like I said in the last episode, we're going to be doing web development first. So we're going to. I know everybody has different environments. Some people are on Windows, some people are on Mac OS, and some people are on Linux. So instead of doing separate videos and for each individual operating system, we're going to use this virtual machine provided by Laravel called Laravel Homestead. Now, a virtual machine is basically a virtual representation of a computer. So you use software and you're emulating hardware device. So with the you can be running Windows and have a virtual machine that runs another version of Windows, and you can have another virtual machine that can run Linux, for example. And there's even some ways where you can run Mac OS on a virtual machine. So let me switch over. No, that's the wrong one. Let me. You guys see my screen? No, you can't see my screen. What about now? You should be able to see my screen. So I'm here at Laravel.com, and like I said in my first video, I specialize in Laravel. So this is the platform that I'm going to use to teach you guys web development. Laravel, like I said, offers a virtual machine called Homestead. Now, it includes the operating system is Ubuntu 16.04. Ubuntu is a version of Linux, which is an open source or free operating system that you can run on anything. Most of the things that you use run some form of Linux. iOS is a form of Linux. Android is a form of Linux. BlackBerry OS is a form of Linux. Windows 10 is going to have support for Linux built in. Most web servers run on Linux. I mean, I can just go on and on. TVs run on Linux, but I digress. So that's the operating system that's going to be on the virtual machine. It also is going to include Git. Now, Git is that software I was talking about yesterday. That's GitHub is ran on, and Git is what's called a version control system. Now, what is a version control system? So let's say you and 5 other people are working on a project. You need some way for your project to be in sync. So when you guys might be working on different aspects. You might be working on the back end. Another person might work on the front end. Another person might be working on the background services. It could go on and on and on. So Git allows you. So all the code is on this thing called the master branch, and everybody can have separate branches off of that main branch. So when you check out, you make your own branch, you do your work. When you're done with your work, you can merge your branch back into the master branch. And so by doing that, everybody can work simultaneously and not worry about writing over each other's code. And I'll be going very in depth into Git in later videos because we're going to be using it heavily. PHP 7.1. PHP is the back-end scripting language that we're going to be using to power our web applications. 7.1 is the newest version. And later in the video, I'm going to be getting into specifically what PHP does. Next, we have Nginx. And Nginx is the web server that is going to host our web content. So whenever you want to host a website or web application or web server, anything that has to do with the web, you have to have a server to serve that content out to the other clients that are going to consume that content. So Nginx, there's another one called Apache, but Nginx is pretty much taking over the industry as the main web server of choice. Also, we have MySQL. And MySQL or MySQL is a database engine. So if you want to build anything that's dynamic, you're going to have to pull data from some sort of database, whether it's a traditional SQL database like MySQL or a what's called a NoSQL database like MongoDB. And I'll be getting into different kinds of databases in later tutorials, but for what we're going to be doing for all of our development, MySQL will work just fine. MariaDB is a flavor of MySQL, or it is basically built on top of MySQL with some different settings. It really doesn't matter what you want to do. If you want to use MySQL, MariaDB, or SQLite 3 is another database. 99% of the time, you're going to use MySQL out in the industry and otherwise. And then also Postgres is another. So basically, you have 4 different databases you can choose from. So if you ever want to experiment, they're all built in. Composer. Composer is a PHP package dependency package manager. So when you're writing more complicated applications, usually going to need dependencies. You're going to use some code that somebody else wrote that's in a package somewhere, whether it's on GitHub or elsewhere. Composer will allow you to put those dependencies into your application, and it will manage all updates. So you don't have to. So once you tell it, I need this package, if it ever needs any future updates, Composer will handle that for you. Node is a JavaScript back engine. So JavaScript was in the past strictly a front end language. It's what you used on web pages. In the last few years, people have made it so you could do JavaScript as a back end language, and Node is used for a lot of startups, used for a lot of apps that require real-time communication, which is its primary focus with Laravel. Laravel leverages Node.js for its real-time engine. We'll get more in depth of its capabilities as we go on in the tutorials. Redis is a key store database and PubSub publisher subscription engine. For most part, it's used with Laravel in conjunction with Node.js to help facilitate real-time communication. We'll get more into that. Memcache is a caching engine. So what is a caching engine? A caching engine, say there's a web page that is going to get called multiple times, but the data doesn't really change that much. You would want to what's called cache it. So it would speed up the performance of your web application. It's saying, hey, you don't need to look for new data. Just grab this old version and serve it up to the client. We'll be using Memcache in our more complicated applications, but we're not really going to be focused much on it here in this beginning part. And then Beanstalk is an application for running your services, background services. I'll explain more of what it has to do. I don't really use Beanstalk that often, so I would like to, I guess, read up more about it before I just give you a half-cocked explanation. So that's the software that's included with the virtual machine. Now, in order to install this virtual machine, we're going to need, it's basically 3 steps. We need to install Vagrant, VirtualBox, and then use Vagrant to install Homestead. So, can you still see my screen? Okay, cool. So, before I get into that, let me check something real quick. I see we got 3 people watching. Who's all in? We want to say hi, what's your name, where you watching from, yada, yada, yada. Do a quick check-in. Am I still? Yeah, I'm still showing my screen. Let me fix that. No, nobody wants to talk. Okay, well it's cool. Well, let's go back to Vagrant. So if you go to vagrantup.com, that's there you go. That's vagrantup.com. Vagrant is a software package that allows you to manage and use virtual machines. So basically, Vagrant is going to be the software that manages the Homestead virtual image. So if you go to download, you see they have Mac OS, Windows, and Debian. Once you run through the installer, you really don't have to do much after that. The next thing we need is a software package called VirtualBox, and that is virtualbox.org. You can Google search VirtualBox. And VirtualBox is a virtualizer. So it takes the virtual machine image and then actually gives you the environment that you work in it in. If that makes sense. Basically, VirtualBox and Vagrant work together to bring you the package, bring you the simulation of a of a virtual computer. So if you go over to the download section, download the binaries. They have Windows, OS X, Linux. They're pretty. Depending on your download speed, it's gonna take upwards of like half an hour to download that. I'll obviously already have it downloaded. So after you have those two, first of all, that's how you go to Laravel.com. So if you go to Laravel.com and you click on the documentation tab, and then you click on Homestead here to the left, it'll give you the instructions on how to install it, which I'm going over with you right now. So basically, after you install VirtualBox and you install Vagrant, you're going to open up your command line. Now, for those who are installing this on Windows, I need to find you're gonna have to do some special things. If you're using Windows, first of all, you're gonna have to enable virtualization in your BIOS. If you don't know how to do that, there's numerous YouTube and Google articles on how to do that. But instead of using the terminal, you're going to use the command prompt. Since all these commands they're targeting a Linux audience, they're using terminal logic, but the same commands can be applied in the command prompt if you click on the Windows button, the start button, and go to type in command prompt. So after you install the software, we're going to have to install the Laravel image. So you're just simply going to follow the instructions, enter the command vagrant box add Laravel Homestead. You'll see a bunch of commands go through. It should work. If it shouldn't work, then that usually means there's something wrong with your Vagrant installation. And then after you install the box, you're gonna install Homestead. So Homestead is a program that controls the Homestead box, but the box is its own Vagrant image. It took me a while to understand the difference between that. So if you have any questions, please just refer to the documentation. So I said I was going to talk about Git. We're going to have to use Git in this next command. So let me show you GitHub. Let me show you GitHub. Let's go to the sign out. Go to the homepage so you can see what it looks like. So GitHub is a platform that allows you to put your Git projects up in the cloud. So let's sign in real quick. You can go and every Git project is its own what's called repository. So you see here I have 86 repositories. Let's look at Sockadroid. So you have these things here. So here's what I was talking about. You have the master branch, and everything splits off from there. When you make your changes, you commit them. So you see, I have 261 commits. So I basically made 261 changes to this project, and I pushed them up. So if you want to, you can fork or make your own copy of a project. So I'm not going to fork it because it's my project. But if you were to make a GitHub account, github.com, and it's free, you could go to all of my projects and click this fork button, and it will make you a copy of my code, and you can see everything I've done. You'd be able to see all my commits, all my changes, everything. And that's the beauty of it. It allows you to share your work with the world. Is that Chris? What's up, Chris? I'm assuming that's Chris. It looks like Chris. What was I saying? So on the command line, you could do the same thing by doing what's called a git clone. So there's certain key commands that you need to understand. Clone is basically you're making a copy of a repository, and that's what we're going to do here. Git clone, and then you pass it in the URL of the Git repository. In this case, it's https github.com/laravel/laravel.git, Git. And then you give it the name of the folder that you want it to call. So we're going to call it Homestead. And Git will do its magic. It'll copy everything here. And then you're going to go into this directory. And you're going to run the command, the initialization command. So if you're on Windows or Mac, you're going to run this bash init.sh command. If you're on Windows, you're going to go into that directory and run init.bat. And that's basically going to set up Homestead. So Homestead will be set up. You should be good to go. But now we're not good to go because we still have to configure. So after you run that command, there will be a hidden folder called Homestead on your home directory, and inside there will be a file called homestead.yaml. If you open up that file, it'll basically have the configuration for your Homestead. So you want to make sure your provider is VirtualBox, and then on this next part, you have what's called shared folders. So the cool thing about having a VirtualBox, a virtual machine, is that you can share your folders from your physical machine to your virtual machine. So basically that'll allow you to edit your files on your physical machine like you normally would, and it would be in sync with your virtual machine, which would have your web server on it if you don't feel like actually going into the virtual machine. So if you have a folder, I have a folder and it's called code. I have another folder on my laptop. It's called programs, and that's where I put all my code. So if I were you, I would go ahead somewhere, just make a folder wherever you want and call it programs or code. You can just follow along with this documentation. And in that YAML file on the folders part, you're going to put the file path of that folder you just created, and you're going to map it. You're going to basically give it the same. You're basically just going to copy and paste this. You're going to put it in the home directory, Vagrant, which is the user, and I'll get into what all that means, of the virtual machine, and then the name of the folder you want to give it, which I usually just call it the same as the folder that I had it. So in this example, you're mapping code to code on the main on the physical machine to code on the virtual machine, and basically, and all this other stuff, NFS and sync folders and all that, these options on the rsync and all that. That's some advanced stuff, and I really don't see a point in using it. Actually, at this point, because we haven't even gotten into installing Laravel yet, the rest of this you can leave blank. And when we actually get to our first Laravel project, I will get into all this because we're not even making websites yet. We're still learning PHP. So we're gonna skip down to launching the Vagrant box. So after you're done doing the editing, just save that file. Go back into the terminal or command prompt. The beauty of Git plus GitHub, in my opinion, is the pull request feature encourages collaboration in a way never seen before. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Being able to just go and grab code from anywhere, anybody in the world, you've never seen them, and it helps you on your project. That collaboration is crazy. I've contributed to projects that Facebook's done, contributed on some of Google's open source work. I love it. That's how I've gotten better as a programmer, was going on other people's code and submitting pull requests and making it better on their behalf. Where was I? I was right here. So go back to the terminal or go back to the command prompt if you're on Windows and basically run this vagrant up command. And that's going to start the virtual machine. And after you do that, accessing Homestead globally. Okay, we're not doing that. And then after you do that, run the vagrant SSH command. And after you run that, you should actually be in your box. And like I said, I'm giving you this installation process would take about an hour, 75 or hour to 75 minutes. So I'm giving you a very watered down version. So if you need to pause, go ahead. Laravel.com, go to documentation, go to Homestead, and it's the installation guide. It's basically what you're going to need to do. But I'm giving you the quick and dirty. So long story short, if it works, let me go ahead and do. Oh, I'm already in it. So let me exit Homestead. What is the command? Homestead halt. Homestead halt. I'm stopping my virtual machine, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when you actually get into the machine. I thought about deleting everything and doing a video of just the installation, but like I said, it would take a long time, and then I would have to do a whole nother video just doing that. So excuse me for the rush. But if you follow the installation guide, you won't go wrong. And if you have any questions, you could always comment. So you're going to do Homestead up. And you see bringing machine default up with VirtualBox provider. So I guess I'll talk about checking if the box is up to date. And then it's doing its setup. I actually have never really taken the time to to read everything, what it does. Let's see, it's preparing network interfaces, which means it's allowing the virtual machine to use the network that I'm on. It's port forwarding. Let's see. It's connecting me for SSH so I can connect in. Let's see. That takes a minute. I'm trying to find a better way to pull up. There it goes. So after it boots, we can go into it by running this command SSH. And SSH stands for secure shell. It's a way for you to connect to any computer in the world that's running Linux. It's probably one of the single-handedly like one of the top 5 best programs ever written. It does it over an encrypted connection so nobody can spy on what you're doing. It's built into Linux. It's pretty cool. All right, so where we have here. let's see. Let's go over some commands first. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this screen. Typing in the command clear. Linux is based on a bunch of individual programs that do one thing specifically, and one thing very well. So one of the programs is clear, which, as you can guess, clears the screen. So if you type in clear, it'll clear everything that you had. Let's say some other useful commands. We have ls or list, and it shows you everything in the current directory that you're in. So what is the current? So everything in this folder that I'm in, I have a file called elastic.sh. I have a folder called facilitator 6. I got a hello.php program. I got a folder for PHP MyAdmin. I got a zip file for PHP MyAdmin, and I have a programs folder. So what folder am I in? We can use the print working directory, or PWD function. Really? This doesn't have PWD on it? Huh. This virtual machine doesn't have print working directory on it. That is crazy. Well, let me open up another tab. Let me show you what that looks like. So PWD, if it's installed, will show you the working directory that you're in. Print working directory. So I'm in the users Jyrone Parker programs directory. If you ever go into the work field, I'm sure you're going to use that command often. Change directory. So I'm in this file. I want to go to my programs folder where all my programs are. So CD for change directory, space, the name of the folder. So programs. So I'm in the programs folder, and here's all of my Laravel apps in my programs folder. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull up the chat so it doesn't obstruct on my phone, so it doesn't obstruct the view, so you guys can see me code. All right. I can't find it on my phone. Anyway, I guess I'll just see if you guys say anything. PD's POSIX, yep. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Let's see. Let me do this. Let's see, lead page. Sorry about this, guys. I'm just trying to. Let's see the chat. There we go. Let me know if this is. Let's see, clear. Let me know if this is too small. You can attach the chat window from the streaming dashboard. How do you do that? Oh, pop out chat. Just like that. Bow. Gracias. Gracias. All right. Let's move that here. Let's move that here. Let's make this bigger. Clear. Is that good? Is that big enough? Can you see? Can you see this clearly? Yes, no. I'm going to assume you can. All right, so where was I? So I changed directories. I did a list. I did a PWD. Let's say, how do you make a folder? So I'm going to make a folder called Jyrone Parker Live, and this I'm going to put all my it's called Intro to PHP. So if you want to make a directory or a folder in Linux, it's a directory. You're going to use the mkdir command, which is short for make directory. mkdir and the name of the folder. So intro to PHP. I can see maybe zoom in on terminal strong. Where's my plus sign? Oh wait, no, I made that bigger. Where am I at? Okay. Wait, no. I got a different keyboard because my son got spilled water on my Mac keyboard. So what is the strong button on the? Or is that the shift? No. Go shift. No, that's making the screen bigger. Oops, what did I do? Control, sorry. Cool. Control plus. Why is that not? Doesn't seem to work. Zoom. That's not what I wanted to do either. Spending too much time doing this actually. Okay, depends. Yeah. All right. Whatever. I'll figure it out for next time. Let's make this bigger. That's good enough. All right. So I made that. I made that directory using the mkdir function, intro to PHP. So I'm going to use the change directory function again, intro-to-php. Now I'm inside that intro to PHP folder. So what else do I want to do? What else do I want to do before I actually get into making my first PHP script? Reboot command reboots the shell. I'm not going to do it. It's going to reboot the machine rather. I'm not going to do it, but simple command to memorize reboot. Let's see. Copy command. Touch command. All right, I can do the touch command. So let's say you need to make an empty file. So I'm going to do touch hello.php. And this is going to be the first PHP script that we do, but I'm not going to put anything in there yet because I'm going over Linux commands. So if I do a ls, I see hello.php. There's nothing in there. It's empty. It just makes an empty file with that name. So now that I have an empty file, I can do some more commands. So if you ever need to copy a file, you can use the cp command. So you pass in the file that you're going to copy, which is hello.php, and then you give it the name of the file that the name of the file you're going to copy it to. So I'm going to call this one loop.php. If I do ls, I now see I have a hello and a loop. Now, because this is an empty file, it just copied an empty file. But if had there been contents in there, it would have copied the file with its contents. If you need to rename a file, you have to use the move command because there's no way to actually rename. So move takes the file and then you pass it in. You pass in where you want it to go. So we're going to do mv hello.php. Your face cam. Is that better? So I'm going to move my hello.php and I'm going to move this to salutations.php. If I do a ls. I no longer have hello.php because it is now called salutations.php. All right. So I got move, I got copy, I have touch. Now, how about opening and editing a file? So we have multiple what are called text editors. We have VI or VIM, depending on which one's installed, which is a classic text editor. There's a lot of functionality, but also a lot of stuff to memorize. We have Nano, which is my personal favorite. You have Pico, you have Emacs, and the list goes on and on. Usually people either do Nano or Vim. So if you want to open up a text file for editing, you use the Nano command and then pass in the name of the file. So salutations.php. You can see it opens up. You got the GNU Nano 2.2.6, the name of the file, and you have all your hotkey commands. So the caret is short for control. So let's do. This is our first PHP script. What I've just put here is called a comment. I'm going to explain in depth what that does later, but basically it's just that it's a comment. It doesn't get interpreted by the PHP interpreter. So if you need to leave a note to yourself, you can do that. This is also a comment, but you can go on multiple lines. That's also a comment. So you can do 2 forward slashes or 1 forward slash star followed by star forward slash. 1 line comment, multiple line comment. But anyway, I digress. Control X will exit out Nano. It will prompt you, do you want to save the file? You type in Y. It asks you what name you want to write the file to. We're going to keep it the same as salutations.php. So that is how you open and edit files in the Linux operating system. All right, so let's move on to PHP. As you can see, I made these 2 files and they had a .php extension. So while PHP actually doesn't require you to have .php as the extension, as long as it has PHP syntax inside that file, it's pretty good practice to use a .php extension when you're working with PHP files. So PHP, like I discussed yesterday, is a back-end language used to power not just web applications, but applications. It's a full stack application language. So I want to say 83%. I'm actually about to find out. What percentage of the internet is PHP? February 2017. I know PHP is the most. Yeah. So PHP is used by 82.5% of all websites. So one of the main reasons I'm teaching you guys PHP is that you can pick it up. It's free. And the majority of the world uses it. So job security. Anyway, so PHP can be used for anything from handling files, doing network calls, doing basic mathematics, advanced mathematics. It can even handle images and videos. Anything you can fathom a computer doing, you can do it in PHP. Excuse me. So when you create a PHP file, let's go back to the citations.php. When you create a PHP file, you have to follow what is called the program's syntax. Now, syntax are the rules of a language, and every language has its own syntax. And then you also have semantics. Yeah, it is really easy to find cheap PHP hosting. I personally, I use my own virtual machines. So, and then also I rent those out. So if you guys ever need any cheap Laravel hosting, holler at me. You know, real talk. $5, I got you. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so you have syntax, which is the languages of, which is the rules of the language, and then you have semantics, and that's the meaning behind the meaning behind the syntax. So in English, syntax are the rules of English, and then semantics is like how are you putting those words together when you speak. So I already went over comments. The next big thing, I guess, is PHP has these things called variables. And like I said, if you're good at basic algebra, you can program. So in algebra, you have variables, right? Solve for x. Well, if you want to put x in PHP, all variables follow this syntax: $, followed by the name of the variable, x. And the cool thing is X can take on multiple what are called data types. So, actually, I'm going to start at A because there's more than X, Y, and Z. So, we have multiple data types. The first one is the string type. Now, a string is a string of characters put together. They can either be single quote or double quote. If they're double quote, you can inject other variables into that string. For example, let's say we had another variable called b. If this is a double quote, this is, so we can do something like $, left curly brace, my bad, $, curly brace, $, curly brace. So this string, and this is also a string. If we use double quotations, we can put variables inside of the double quotes. And that's called escaping a variable. And you can put bracket, name of the variable, or curly brace, name of the variable, curly brace. Single string variable, or single quote variable, double quote variable. And every statement in PHP has to end with a semicolon. If you don't have a semicolon, you're going to run into an error, a runtime error, because it's not going to know when to stop. It's not going to know how to interpret that line. Remember, yesterday I was talking about the difference between compiled languages and interpreted languages. This semicolon is telling the interpreter, stop, interpret what you have, then go on to the next line. Does that make sense? Good. What's another kind of data type that a variable can hold? My bad. Integers. So, what's 42? That's the answer to everything, right? So an integer is any whole number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, blah, 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 42. Simple enough, right? Another data type they can have is called a float. So let's say you have 42.5. See how that works? Um, Another variable, and this one is very important, is what's called a Boolean. Now, a Boolean is a variable that can only have one of two values. It can either be true or it can be false. So in this case, I'm setting this variable e to false. Booleans are essential to flow control. So, only do this if something is true or if something is false. And I'm going to be going into that in a second. So we got strings, we have integers, we have floats, we have booleans. You can also car variables can be set to what's called an object, and objects are essential to software engineering and programming in general. An object is a collection of abstracted data and methods. So what is or variables and methods? So for example, I set this variable f to car, and car is going to be a class that gives you a car object. So I would make, and objects are represented by classes. So I make a public class car. Public make public model public function construct make model. This make equals make. This model equals model. Public function get make return this model. I'm going to give you guys a run through of what I'm doing. I'm just doing it real quick because I can't really talk and type at the same time. But basically, I'm just making up this model, this class called car. So if you what's called instantiate a car class, you're going to get a car object, and the car object can have a make and a model. So it could be like a Honda Accord. So it has a messed up already. Guys should have warned me. I didn't put my dollar signs. So, like I said, a class abstracts variables and methods. So I explained what a variable is. Now, what's a method or a function, rather? A function, takes and manipulates and returns data. So, for example, the get make function on this car class that I'm creating, or the get model function, it is returning the model of the class that was instantiated. So Honda Accord. Honda Accord. Public. Okay. So every class has a construct method. And the construct method is basically when you create a new car object, what do you want that car object to be? You're going to pass in a make and a model. So in this example I showed, I'm setting f to a, this needs to say new. I'm setting this variable f to a new instance of a car. I want it, the make to be Honda. I want the model to be Accord. So whenever you make a new object, it's going to look at its construct method. So this particular class, its construct method takes a make, takes a model. It sets this dot make. Now, what is this? Every model, this is the model that you're creating when you call new car. So whatever that is. So in this case, this is F, right? Because F is a new car. So the make of this car is going to be Honda. The model of this car is going to be Accord. Now, if I call the get make function on this object, I'm saying I want you to return, this should say make. I'm saying I want you to return the make of this object that I instantiated. And the same thing goes with this get model. I want you to return this model, the model of this car that I created. Am I making sense so far? Because if I'm not, please tell me I'm not. And if I am, I'd like to know that too. And then these are examples of what are called getter methods. So get model, get make. Another thing you can make are called setter method. And you don't have to do these, but these are best practices and paradigms. Let's say I don't know what kind of Honda or what kind of make or what kind of model I am going to pass in when I make this new car, but I might know in the future. So make. I'm going to create a setter functions, set make, set model. And I mean, it's basically what I'm doing in the constructor, but I'm able to do it whenever I want. So you might be asking, when would I use this kind of stuff? And I'm going to get into that later as we get deeper in. But for the sake of showing you the kinds of data types, I had to do this example real quick. Actually, this would be a good chance to show you all the data types too. So in these cases, these are going to be strings. You're passing in strings, right? So let me do public function is make. And not every function, as you can see, I have a return statement here, and I don't have a return statement here. You don't have to return anything. But in this case, I'm going to return this make equals make. You see this equals. This is doing a truth test. So this will return a Boolean value. So it's either going to return true or false. I'm basically asking. I'm going to pass in a string that's the make of the car, and I'm asking, is this make, and this being the, like I said, the instantiating isn't. So in the case of f, is the make of variable f equal to the make that I'm asking it, and it's going to return true or false. I'm going to do the same thing for the model. I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm assuming that that this is making primitive sense. I know I'm flying through it because uh, I'm going to have examples that go through each thing individually, and I just want to give you guys a quick overview. So these are basically the data types that you're gonna be working with majority of the time. You got single quote strings, double quote strings, integers, floats, booleans, objects. So I am going to right now nothing is being shown to the user. Okay, so this script I'm going to go. I want to show the user, and that's what this echo function does. Echo prints it out to the screen, so you're able to see what it is that you are editing, or the script that you're running, whatever you're trying to echo. So I want to get the get model, and then I'm going to copy this, paste, 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 paste. All right, so I want to get the model. I want to get the make. I want to, let's see, I want to echo, is this model, give me a car. What's a car? Civic, yeah, Sonata is, is make, is make, Sonata is make Hyundai. And then we don't need this one. All right, so what am I expecting to happen here? I'm expecting to run this script. I'm gonna echo all the variables that I had, basically. Echo A. Oh no, what happened? Oh, are you serious? What just happened? Damn. Wow. Wow. Can't believe that happened. All right, hold on. I'm just gonna stick with the class and put all these variables in there to make that happen. I can't believe that happened. All right, public car. Let's see, public make, public model, public. Um, let's do gas mileage. Gas mileage, and is make model. Gas mileage. That could be an integer, right? Yeah. I'm trying to think of all the different data types I can just put in this model. Somebody said something. Year. That's a good one. Thank you, baby. Public year. Okay, I can make that a float. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you. All right, public function. We're going to do the constructor. We're going to pass in the make. We're going to pass in the model. We're going to pass in gas mileage. We're going to pass in the year. And let's see, this make equals make, this model equals model, this gas mileage equals gas mileage, and this year equals year. Let's see, public function get make. I'm just gonna put the echo right in there. Echo this make. So this function's got the echo built in. And remember, echo goes out to the screen. Get model echo this $sign for member variables. Yep, sure. Thank you. I will get that as soon as I. That's how I know you're paying attention. I love it. All right, so I got make model. I need to. I cannot type to save my life. Get. I'm just gonna call this get mileage. Echo this gas mileage. And public function get year. Echo this year. Public is make. That's in the make. Echo this make equals make. So I'm just gonna echo out true or false, or it might be 1 and 0. I can't remember, but if it is 1 and 0, 1 is true, 0 is false. Is model echo this. I can't believe all that got deleted. Really grinds my gears. Model. Now I gotta do the setters. All right, public set make this make equals make. Now, some people might be asking, well, why would I do this for every little thing in my program? Well, the cool thing about writing classes is that you, like I said, you're abstracting or bundling all these things together. So, for example, now I have this car. So let's say I want to make another model for a Honda Accord. I can make a new class called, Honda, which extends from car. And I'll be getting into that later, but it allows extensibility, so you can really write some elegant applications. This model equals model. Oh, I realized I didn't put function on any of these. Bear with me, guys. It's going to get exciting, I promise. You're watching coding right here. So it's like you've been working all day and then you start making stupid mistakes. All right, this model, public function, set year, this year equals year. So I think I'll explain this. The 1 equal sign is assignment. 2 equal signs are comparison. Set mileage. This doing that. Gas mileage equals mileage. All right, cool. All right, so this is my car model. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this real quick. So I'm gonna do Control O lets you do a save. Salutations, save. All right, cool. So I got this car object. Now I'm going to set X equal to new car. I'm gonna make it a Honda Accord. X dot get model or get make X get model X I forgot the year and the mileage. 2017 I don't know, 42.3. All right. Get year X get mileage. And then let's all right, cool. All right, so let's exit this out. And now we can finally run the program. So in order to run a PHP script natively, you use the PHP program space salutations .php. Oh, I totally forgot to put my PHP tags. So at the beginning of every PHP function, you have to put left bracket, question mark, space PHP or PHP. Does it need PHP processing instruction? What do you mean PHP processing instruction? You talking about the tags at the top? So that's what I'm missing. Oh no. Expected public on line 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Public class car. Public class car. Why am I getting that error? Public. All right. Get a chance to talk about debugging. So I ran into an error. I ran into a parse error. So it couldn't parse something that I did. And it's saying I have an unexpected public statement on line 6. So if you want to jump to a specific line in Nano, you can do Control Shift. What is that? The underscore and put in the column number, line number rather. So saying right there, public class car doesn't make sense. PHP event. No, still getting it there. Oh, I guess I just don't need the public. Yeah. I'm thinking of my Java. I'm thinking of my Android. All right, call to undefined method get mileage on line 65. All right, so what did I do here? 65, get mileage, Did I not have that? Let's see, get year. I had a. Does mileage have an E in it? If it does, two E's. If it doesn't, it does now. No, I think it only has one E. Or does it have two? I don't know. For sake, I'm just gonna say that's two. All right. Finally. Should have put some spaces, huh? Let me see. Space. Oh, it'll be a good chance to do some double brackets. We'll have bracket here. We're gonna escape this, and then we're gonna do /n, or my bad, /n. /n is a line break, so it's gonna do a break line at the end, so it doesn't look all jumbled like it did before. So escape. And remember, you can only do this with double brackets or double quotations. I keep saying brackets. If you do this with a single quotation, then it'll, it'll just show everything how it is, plain text. All right, get year, get my omega. All right, cool. That should be good. All right. So when you run that script, it goes through. Yeah. I know that Android, man. Yeah. So let's see. You run it through. It shows the make, the model, the gas mileage, and the year. String, float, integer. Now I was missing. I need to do. I need to do some of the Boolean. Mileage. X is make Lambo and X is model Diablo. Oh, also, when you instantiate an object, you call the functions of the object using this arrow notation. So, name of the variable, arrow, name of the function. So, car, get make, get model, get year. And then let's see. Now let us set the make to Hyundai X set model Sonata. Hey, I just realized, is that Richard? That's Richard, not Chris, isn't it? Is that Richard? Can't tell that profile picture is so small. Let's see, set model, and then we're going to show that again. Get make and X get model. All right, so real quick before I do this, let me just show you. Let's just go through what I did real quick. Oh, okay, my bad, bro. Like I said, profile picture is real small, hard to see. Okay, so what I did, so I'm this is doing the Boolean comparison. This should show false. This should show false. That's funny. This should show false. This should show false. This should set it to Hyundai. Should set it to Sonata, and then you should see Hyundai Sonata. So we run PHP. Let's clear PHP. And as you can see, we had Honda Accord, 42.3 miles to the gallon, made in 2017, or the model's 2017. Wait a minute, that's still not showing the true or false. Echo. Huh. Wonder why it's not doing that. Let's figure it out. So the is make and is model isn't echoing out. Oops. Isn't echoing out what I wanted to echo out. It's actually not echoing out anything. So we can do a var dump. And var dump basically dumps the variable, so you can see what the variable looks like and all its intricacies. It's a really ugly command, but it helps with debugging. Do you have to echo var dump? I don't think you should. I can't remember. I'm always using Laravel. Okay, cool. All right, well that's good enough. So yeah, you can see that it's Boolean. Those are false. We got Hyundai Sonata. We got Honda Accord. All right, everything looks good. Everything looks good. So that's basically all the data types. And I covered classes and objects all in one. It's pretty good. So while we're at it, let's might as well do some abstraction. Let's see, how long have I been on here? Oh man. Okay. All right. Well, before we get off, let's let me do a little bit on abstraction. So the cool thing about PHP and other object-oriented languages is that when you create objects and classes, you can extend upon those objects and classes. So let us open up. Let's open up the citations again. So, like I said, let's say that I had a maybe the way I made that probably wasn't the best way for doing that. Anyway, so let's say I make another class and I want to extend from car. So I'm gonna make a new class called Honda, and Honda extends from car. So it'll have all the properties of car and all the functions of car. So it'll have the make, but the make will be set to Honda. That's going to be one of the key differences. It'll have the model, and we'll leave that up so you can have a different kind of model, and we'll leave gas mileage in year. So the only thing different is that the make function, the get make function, will return Honda, and where's that at? Racing car with speed. There you go. That's a good one. There you go. All right, yeah. What's your name? Who are you? Let me give you a shout out. You're not Richard, and I've already called you Richard, and I've called you Chris, and I feel stupid. Let's see. Racing car. Class. Racing car. Stands car. Actually, you should be on all my streams and catch me when I do all my little idioms, like do Java code when I'm trying to do PHP. let's see, public speed. Public. So the cool thing is when you extend the class, you can override or change its original definition of its functions. So in this uh, in this new constructor method, I'm I could have not made a constructor method and it would have defaulted to using the car constructor method. But in this one, I want to add the speed. So make model mileage. What else did I have? Year speed. And make model. That's sloppy. I'm just gonna do this. Quit being lazy. Speed, make, model, mileage, year. Gas, mileage, model, and make. Make equals make. This model equals model. This mileage equals mileage. That needs to be gas mileage. This year equals year. And this speed equals speed. All right. And then I'm gonna leave all the get make, get model. No, you don't have to. You don't have to, but I didn't want to I don't think it repeat the base class members. Yeah. No, they are inherited. And you don't. I don't have to do that. But I didn't want to confuse people. But you're right, because I don't do that I don't do that out in the field. So, but like I said, I also use frameworks too. So I don't really do most of this basic stuff anyway. Yeah, C++ was actually my second language I learned. I was actually the first language I ever learned was Java, and then I went to C++ and then Ruby and then PHP. But I just ended up loving PHP. And okay, so yeah, so the only thing I'm gonna do, and the cool thing, because the racing car class is in it inherits from the car class. I don't have to redefine the old method, so it opens up for extension. So I'm going to extend the racing car by doing get speed and adding the get speed and set speed methods, courtesy of maybe worth it. I would try something here. Courtesy of guy who still I don't know his name, who I can thank. SK Rootzer. Public function get speed. Return this speed. Public function set speed. Speed. Or I don't want to return. I want to echo. This speed equals speed. Stefan Cruiser. Stefan Cruiser. That's cool. Where you at? Where you from? Where you viewing me at the current moment? Set speed. All right, and I think that's that's everything we gotta do. So like I was saying before, why would you want to use objects and classes? Because if you need to extend, which you will, to fit the different needs of your application, you can encapsulate functionality. So let's go down to here. Let's make a Y function. We're gonna call this new racing car. I don't know any makes and models of racing cars, so I'm just gonna call this race make race model. I need to switch that to be consistent. Here. Mileage. There we go. 2016. Shit. 2016 and 125. Germany. Oh man. Guten Tag. Much love. I appreciate that. Really, really do. This is my second live stream. I'm trying to do this every day. I appreciate that. I really do. Cool. Cut. Paste. Did that again. How are things in Germany? What's going on over there? I'm gonna change all this to y, and y. And I'm gonna say y get speed. Y set speed 200. Not T. Y. All right. So now if we run this, it should show all the things from the original car and all things from the new racing car. Wait, undefined variable speed. Missing argument 5. What am I missing? Oh, I'm missing. Yeah. The gas mileage on race cars are crap. Like 8.5. Awesome. There we go. Cool. Cool. So as you can see, We have the original. This is the original car, and this is the race car. And as you can see on the code, I didn't have to change any of the other functions. So that's a basic overview. Um, let's see. Then I make another one. Oh yeah. All right. So now that you know the basic data types, I'm gonna do one. Let's see. How long have I been on here? I've been on here for an hour and a half. Okay. All right. I'm gonna do one example of doing some control structures and some loops. Actually, you know what? That one example will turn to another 30 minutes. So actually, I think I'm gonna kick it off here, guys. If that's okay with you. Tomorrow, we're gonna actually go through some advanced code, some more advanced code structures, some doing some flow control, taking user input, and I'm and we're gonna do something with opening files. And I think after we do some basic stuff with that, um, I can streamline you guys over to doing basic Laravel application development. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe my channel. Special shout out to Stefan Kreutzer from Germany. I really appreciate that. I hope I'll see you again tomorrow. And you're a Java enthusiast. I'm planning on doing interviews. So if you if you want to do an interview, man, just hit me up. We can get something planned out. Maybe we do something possibly mid-March. But other than that, guys, I appreciate it. If you have any questions or concerns, please put them in the comment box, and I will respond at my earliest convenience. Like I said, I know that this was a crash course and everything was kind of pushed, but the installation of the virtual machine and setting up the environment would probably taken the whole time of the video that I've done thus far. So I really want to push that you guys are take some initiative on that and um, try to figure out how to install that stuff on your own. I do find, or I have given you guys the documentation. That's once again that's Laravel.com. If you go to documentation, once you go to Laravel.com and click on Homestead, it gives you the guide to install everything. So try to get that installed tonight, and then tomorrow you have everything ready, and we can do some more advanced coding. Thank you very much for joining my stream. It really means a lot to me. The more that you guys come on, the more questions you ask me, the more I'll be able to do this. And my hope is by the third month, if you guys stick with me for 3 months, we're gonna be doing some really advanced applications. After I feel like you guys have the hang of basic Laravel development, we're really gonna every other episode is gonna be just application, application, application. We're gonna do monetization. We're gonna do API development. We're gonna do e-commerce, everything. So please stick with me. I know it's kind of rocky right now, but I'm new to this and we will get better. So thank you guys, and I will see you tomorrow at the same time.